There's this great study by Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton on happiness, and they started their study with, can money buy happiness? And the answer is, sort of. So there's a difference between what's called experienced happiness and reported happiness. So experienced happiness is if I ask you the question every single morning when you get up, how happy are you? So it's kind of tracking moment to moment, how happy are you with your life? And what they found in their study, Kahneman and Angus Deaton, is that this level of happiness, experienced happiness, satiates at $75,000 a year in North America. So that means that if you start earning dramatically more than this, you will answer my question when I ask you in the morning, how happy are you? You'll have the same answer after 75K, whether you earn 75K, 80K, 90K, 200, 500. After this, at some level, that indicator satiates. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. One is that there's a trade-off between having more money and what you have to do to earn more money. Okay? Because it's true that passive income is passive income, but there's always some stress and some elbow grease hours that goes into that. So there's a trade-off there. And then the other factor is that other indicators of well-being start being more important than the amount of money that you make. So let's say I get to my 75K of passive income per year and I've satiated this number. After that, I can continue to invest time to make more and more and more money, but that's time that I'm not investing in these other indicators, which after 75K actually, according to the study, bring you more bang for your buck. So the top indicator of well-being was social isolation in their study. So that was the single thing that impacted reported happiness more than anything, was how socially isolated are you? Are you part of a community? Are your family relationships working well? Or are you sitting at home in front of the TV eating dinner by yourself every night? So maybe after you hit the 75K mark of passive income, maybe community and relationships then becomes something that's going to give you more bang for your buck in terms of the time that you invest into building it. Health, same thing. So health has a huge impact on reported happiness, and if you're spending all your hours invested in trying to make more money somehow, that's time you're not spending on your own health, and then ultimately that's going to have a bigger impact on your well-being and on your reported happiness. The other three, giving back, free time, spirituality, those are all things that after you hit the 75K mark will give you more ROI on the hours, on the time that you invest in them. So those are indicators that will give you a bigger happiness score than maybe more money. So let's leave experienced happiness for a minute and talk about reported happiness. So this is interesting, it's a different question, and the question about reported happiness is if I asked you, how happy are you with your life in general? Okay, which is not the same question as how happy are you at this very specific moment. And what's interesting about this indicator is that it doesn't satiate. So the more money you make, the more reported happiness you will have, okay? So what do we make of this? I have to admit, when I read this, I was like a little bit, okay, that's interesting. I expected that the 75K thing, that makes sense to me. This made a little bit less sense. And then we get to the fact that money, or, you know, in real estate, maybe the number of deals you do, the number of doors you have, the number of things you've succeeded in accomplishing, are part of a kind of meaning and social hierarchy structure. So as human beings, we measure ourselves against what other people have done, what other people are able to do, how well we think we're doing in terms of our peer group, and then how well we think we're doing ends up affecting how happy we are with ourselves, okay? So then this brings me back to this reflection that I admit I had, you know, when I was a new mom and I was like working very hard to try and make more money. You know, what are you, what am I, what are we all in the real estate game for? Is it the bank account Olympics, where we're trying to make more money and acquire more things? Or is it a means to do something else? And don't get me wrong, I really think there needs to be people who want to excel at the game of real estate, and that's their ambition, that's their reason, that's their story. I think it's great. They show people like me what's possible. They can inspire maybe some of us, you know, push the package of what's possible for us. But ultimately, you need to know why you're playing the game. And when I sat down and had a thought about this for myself, I realized that I was in the game to reach a certain level of financial independence, and then after that, I was more interested in other games that I could play. And that's why you saw the, you know, 2018 Jiu-Jitsu podium picture, because I realized that for me, that is more interesting and more important than maybe adding an additional building and being very aggressive about growing the next thing. And so if I can sort of conclude this with, you know, returning that back to you guys and saying, we're here partly to learn how to become better at investing, but I think that needs to be within a schematic in which we find our place in what are we doing? Why are you playing the real estate game? Or if you're doing it because you want to get really good at this game and you know, win at it and push the package, that's awesome. I applaud you. I think it's great. If you're in the game because you want to reach a certain level of financial independence or abundance, and then that's enough. Then we're just maintaining it, and I can, you know, spend my time playing other games. That's also really great. But I think the recipe for, you know, doing this mindfully and walking out of the real estate game feeling like, you know, I got what I wanted out of this. I think there needs to be some kind of balance between this of knowing why am I playing this game, and when am I going to stop? Am I going to stop? You don't necessarily have to, but you should know what your orientation is towards that. And that's kind of, you know, the power of meaning. If I bring it all back to, you know, your story and your meaning in terms of this, those are decisions we have to make for ourselves, but before we can make them, we need to be mindful of them. And that's why, you know, my book's called Mindful Landlord, because I think the landlording aspect is important, but I think if we're not including that within a broader understanding of what we're doing, we're doomed to disappoint ourselves with it.